Well,
All
hello
right.
there, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Bagocast. We are going to interview one of the developers of Quantum League. So, first off, let me introduce ourselves. Like always, I am Yul, and this is Alex.
This is
So,
me.
and yeah, Alex, can you lead the presentation?
What is it?
I asked if you could lead the presentation.
Lead a presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. Um.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna start then.
Right.
Okay. So the first question is, where did the idea come from?
well. First off, we should introduce the guest. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Introduce yourself first.
Okay, so hello, my name is Andres Chilkowski. I'm one of the co-founders of Nimble Giant, and now I'm the Chief Creative Officer. And I've been overlooking from that position the development of Quantum League. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for allowing
You
us
can,
to have this interview with you.
oh, my pleasure. You can call
Yeah,
me
thank
Chilko. Actually, most people call me Chilko within the industry.
Right.
Chilko.
Okay.
That's good.
So yeah, we can start with the questions, Alex.
Yeah. My first question is, where did the idea come from?
Okay, so it's a pretty long answer if you have the time.
Yeah. Go on.
Widow.
So in 2017, early 2017, our studio had just finished our post-development effort on Master of Orion, and we started working on a big new project. And as something that it's pretty usual in the games industry, our big new project got canceled. So we had to very quickly pivot and think about what's going to be our next gig. And we moved the whole studio to a brainstorming process. It took us like 3 days to come up with different ideas. We were like 80 people at the time, and we decided to split everyone into different groups aligned by different verticals. Like these verticals were, I don't know, survival games. I remember there was like team-based cooperative shooters. There was a vertical that was mostly focused on competitive games, and in the vertical that was looking into competitive games, it was led by one of our lead designers called Baltasar Auger. So Baltasar brought this idea that he had into his group. The idea was it's pretty weird because actually his previous job he was leading the development of a game that was very similar to XCOM, a game
Okay.
called Fallen, which was also made in Argentina.
Right.
So and during this development, like his boss was constantly saying like, this tactical strategy game, I think that maybe we should try to do something more dynamic, and why don't you just like put it in first person and make it real time, right? And it's like those crazy suggestions from your boss without looking at things sometimes. But Baltasar is the kind of guy who likes like big to try to solve like big impossible problems,
Yeah.
and he started thinking about, okay, how could this work? Like you can do a game like XCOM in first person, right? But you have to keep the turn-based nature of it for that to work. Why? Because when you're moving your units in XCOM, right, the moment you move your first unit, you may notice that there's an alien on the other side, right? And your team moves first, and then the opposition makes their move. But as you are moving more and more units, you're gaining information about what's happening on the battlefield. So the second unit that you move, you already know that there's an alien that was spotted by the first unit, right? So, but technically, if this was real time, these two soldiers were moving at the same time. So how do you explain that the second unit that you move had information about something that didn't happen yet? And the way that Baltasar found to kind of explain that possibility was, okay, if you need to know about stuff that already happened but you weren't there, you could probably travel back in time and witness that for yourself. So he kind of had that idea in his mind and he just locked it up. But then when he joined us and he went through this process, this brainstorming process, he brought it up and mentioned it to his team. So they discussed possibilities around it and they pitched it. We had like 100 pitches in 3 days. And out of those 100 pitches, we decided to go for 8 games that we wanted to either prototype or develop the idea a little bit further. And what happened is that those 8 prototypes, or 8 ideas, some of them were like, we just had to make like a nice looking pitch in order to start looking for a publisher or investor or something. But some other ideas, we needed to test them to make a prototype or something, because even more so in the case of Quantum League, it was actually very difficult to explain, right? A first-person shooter with time travel mechanics in a competitive environment.
I am actually curious about that in particular. We seem to have some technical difficulties, but okay. But yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Where did the idea of like time travel come from? Like where, like exactly why do you put that kind of like focus in the game?
Well, as I said, like conceptually, the idea came from trying to make a tactical strategy game, but in a way that you play in real time, moving one unit at a time in real time. Okay, and Baltasar realized that by doing time travel, like you play one move and then you travel back in time, that is like playing a tactical game in real time. When he thought about this time travel thingy, he started like doing some research, and he came across with a video from Corridor Digital that is called Clock Blockers. And Clock Blockers is pretty much that very same idea. Like somebody came up with the same concept, and that happened like many years ago. I believe that the video is from 2008 or something. And that's how Baltasar pitched the concept to us. Like in the one pager that his team wrote during the brainstorming, he had like a picture of Time Cop, right? The crappy movie from the 80s or 90s about time travel, and also a link to this video by Corridor Digital. And I believe that some of us had already seen that video and it looked pretty cool and interesting. But the problem is that the video has some internal mechanics that probably wouldn't work in a game. So what they did during the prototyping phase is to try to make that work. And that's how the idea came up to be, basically. Like this guy trying to think about doing a real-time strategy game where you move things one by one, and on the other thing, combining that with time travel, and finally finding a video that actually explains the same idea visually, right?
Right. Good.
I told you it's pretty hard to explain. But the interesting thing was that when when we made the prototype, so Baltasar and Lucas, who is our CTO, or who was the CTO at the time, they dedicated themselves like a week to make a very rough prototype. And of the 3 or 4 prototypes that we made during that week, we had an all hands meeting in our mess hall, and with a big screen TV, they set it up so the whole company could see the results of this prototyping week, right? And the last idea that was showcased was Quantum League, and they played against each other. And even though the graphics were really crappy, imagine it was made in 1 week, right? It was really crappy, no sound, no nothing. The match ended with like a headshot in the last second where the timelines were collapsing into one, and the slow motion was triggered, and it was like spectacular. So everybody was like, wow, as if they were scoring a goal or something, like chanting. So we knew when we had that prototype that there was something interesting in this concept, and that's when we decided to push it farther away and continue developing this idea as an experimental thing, right? Because we still didn't know what we have. It was very different in terms of the mechanics to what it is now, right?
Wow, like I actually didn't expect the influence to be taken from a strategy RPG. It's kind of unexpected when you turn into an actual shooter idea. But I have there's something that also makes me curious about the game. I played the game. I played the game like what's his name? Drone Strike Force. Yeah. I got to review that game previously, and yeah, I know that you guys are pretty much known for like unusual kinds of playstyles and such. And so so I guess the next question that I have is, how do you plan to continue to expand on the project, and are you going to introduce any new mechanics or something of the sort in the future?
So the truth is that we've been working on the game for like 3 years now or more. So we gave some time off to the team after the delivery, after the release. And what we're looking at now is to see what kind of feedback we have from the community now that the game has a bigger player base, and we are planning our next steps considering their feedback, right? So we don't have like we do have a roadmap for like 6 months that includes like new content for the game, but in terms of the actual mechanics, we need to gather some more feedback from the community to set it down. It's been our development process since we started. Like we had a year-long closed beta, and then almost a year of early access. So the game has been maturing alongside the players and what they were expecting, and also there's like a competitive scene. So we are trying to cater to that competitive scene also. So we are kind of working on the roadmap ahead. I don't know why did you mention Drone Strike Force?
Yeah, like I said before, I had the opportunity to review the game before. It was a decent experience, like I said before. So yeah, like I'm pretty familiar with the way you guys have been designing games for a while now. So in terms of multiplayer, not so much on the single player.
Actually, because Drone Strike Force is not our game. Like we were to work on it, but it's from another company called Odyssey.
That's odd because it's listed in your website. That's why I'm like.
Yeah. But it's not our IP. Quantum League is our IP. Champions of Rec Room is our IP. But Drones or Mass of Orion is our projects that we made for other companies. It's part of what we do, right? We our studio works on our own stuff, but we also collaborate with other major studios from around the world.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that
questions?
we are we didn't call all the shots in Drone Strike Force. That wasn't our responsibility.
Okay.
But it's a great game, I think. I like it a lot.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Alex, do you have any other questions?
Yeah. You mentioned that you wanted to maybe bring the game to the competitive scene. Is like esports. Is that a goal for you?
So we have a strong belief that you don't set yourself to make an esports game. It's the community that transforms any given game into an esport, most probably. What we did do during the development of the game is that from that moment where we saw that that nice score in the first prototype match, we realized that the game was fun to watch. So fun to watch was one of our game pillars in terms of the vision for the game. We had three pillars.
Yeah.
One was to make a fun shooter, so that the shooter, the feel of the shooter should be good enough, like the way the weapons handle, the way you move your character. Considering that we have some constraints, of course, because of the core mechanics. But the other pillar was that this is real-time travel with consequences. So that's why we worked a lot on the mechanics around death and being able to preventing death from happening and what happens next, and that sort of paradoxical results. And then the third pillar was to make it fun to watch. So we tried to make a very clean game that is easy to understand what's going on, even though the mechanics are kind of complex. So if anybody wants to do something competitive and if they want to have like a tournament and host it and do some casting over it, they could do it. So we added like all the ways for people to record previous matches, or to be able to use like a spectator camera, to be able to join as an spectator like other matches. So we built all that tech, and we've seen some groups like QLC, for example, that's being like self-organizing tournaments on their own, and they look very professional. So we enjoy what they are doing a lot, and try to follow them and help them as much as we can. But time will tell. What I do believe is that the game is a really competitive game, and it's like an ultimate mixture of reflexes, twitch skills, and action with some big brain strategies and tactics in the middle. So we do believe that the game has that sort of potential, but it will depend on where the community can take them. We can help along the way as much as we can.
Yeah, I played the game for like a couple hours yesterday. My impression was that it felt like a game that was made with esports in mind. That's why I asked.
Yeah. We made it to be. We tried to make it to be something that is fun to watch. But now, if the game deserves to be an esport or not, that's in the hands of gamers, not in our hands.
I disagree for that. It's that complex. It felt very easy to grasp what it was about, like very quickly. So I think you did a good job, like bringing across to the player what you're supposed to do and how the game works and stuff like that. So I don't think it's that complex, to be honest. So you don't have to worry about that.
The only problem is explaining the game in just one sentence is kind of hard. So basically, what we try to say is it's a 1v1 shooter where both players are trapped in a time loop, and basically what's happening is that you are self-cooperating with your previous and future selves in order to score, right?
Yeah, you're
so-
basically recording a ghost of your actions, and then you can play with that ghost in the second match. That's I got
Exactly.
that correctly. Yeah.
But the problem is that, so you play, let's say, a few times and you get acquainted with the mechanics. But what is really difficult is to truly understand the depth in some strategies that can be done as you are reaching like a very high level of play.
Mm.
So, for example, you know that, have you heard or have you witnessed or tried like one of those strategies that are about playing while you're dead? Because in
While you're
Quantum League, yeah, they like the players call it the barrel strat, for example. That's one of them.
Okay.
So basically, it's like this. In Quantum League, when you die,
You're DSing.
you don't actually die. You get desynced from the timeline, and you continue to record the potential actions that you might do in case you manage to stop that death from ever happening.
Right.
The outcome of that to the opponent is that when you shoot someone and he's dead, he's invisible to you. You don't know what he could be doing or what potential actions he's recording, right?
Mm.
So some players realized that, and this was even before we had the health packs that also resync you to the timeline, which is another dimension of complexity. But they realized that being able to move while invisible was very powerful. So what they did was, like, with their first clone, the time loop lasts for like 15 seconds, right? So with their first clone, they would run into an explosive barrel, right? And they would just destroy that barrel, let's say in the 10th second or in the 7th second, right there when they are located. So the explosion would kill them, right? They would die, and now they are desynced, and being desynced and invisible to the opponent, they would flank to a left and jump into the attack, shooting like crazy. With their second character, their second time clone, they would run also in the same direction. They would get killed by the same explosion, and then invisible, they would run to the right and attack from another position, shooting like crazy to the center of the arena, to the capture point. Now with their third clone, what they would do is, instead of running like crazy towards the explosion, they would sidestep a few meters, take out like the sniper rifle, and shoot at the barrel right at the beginning of the time loop. So what happened is that. Sorry?
Yeah. So basically, you have to like think like 12 steps ahead, especially
Exactly.
while working together with the clones that may or may not desync during the multiple timelines.
Exactly. So imagine that you manage to do this. You destroy that barrel in the first few seconds. So when the clone 1 and clone 2 arrive to the barrel, it has already exploded, so they don't get that damage. So they come back alive. The timeline has changed. And now with his third clone, he goes to attack the center also. On the other side, the opponent, he just saw, okay, he's not here. He's not like engaging with me. Second round, again, there was an explosion, but he's not there. And now with his third clone, he has to deal with the other 3 clones going at it at the center, right? So we thought, this is like a very hard strategy to beat. And the truth is that the players themselves, they found like counter strategies to do that, like trying to take away the barrels first, or even defending the position with the third clone. So it was, even though it was a good strategy. It wasn't the dominant strategy, right? But that's why we think that the game is so strategic, because you can do these crazy things with the course of time, like trying to change the timeline, and also by controlling the things that resync you, which are the health packs. Because you are not dead, actually, as long as you are close enough to a health pack to revive. And controlling those health packs is really important. So I've seen players like doing strats all around, like going to the opponent's side, capturing their health packs before they can, and you can deny those captures. It gets pretty complex. So yeah, it takes like 3 matches to actually understand the mechanics, but it takes a few hours to realize the potential of the strategy behind the game.
Yeah,
I
I can
want
see what you
to-
mean about that.
I want to ask something that's really important for a game like this, especially because it's a multiplayer game. It has like a very focus on the competitive side. How do you plan to expand your audience? How do you plan to continue like increasing the player base and such? Like yeah.
Yeah, well, so we did several things. We lowered the price. If you're asking me about like why don't we go free to play, I do have an answer for that. If you want me to.
Sure.
The truth is that this game, it's not like it's a niche product. Okay, we know it's for people that want to combine their abilities in as a shooter gamer with the brains to play a strategy game. Okay, and we know that it may not be for everybody. So in order for free-to-play schemes to monetize, you require different sort of systems. For example, in a game like I don't know, World of Tanks, like World of Tanks has amazing, it's a free-to-play game, but it has amazing monetization because of the amount of content and the fact that the content is locked to your progression, right? So if you want to progress faster, you need to spend some money. There are the other games like, I don't know, Fortnite, for example. They only monetize like customization, right? It's not like there's a gun or that it's locked out of your progression. But and Fortnite monetizes much less than World of Tanks, much less. Like the money that they make out of any given user is like orders of magnitude less. The thing is that Fortnite has billions of, like hundreds of millions of players, right? So by getting a few cents out of billions of players, you make lots of money and you're a sustainable game. In the case of Quantum League, knowing that it's going to be a small niche game, it will never be sustainable by the very few people that pay for like skins or something like that. And we didn't want to like make the game progression based, because it's not very good for a 1v1 game that is mostly about like strategy. So that's why like free to play would never work. Okay. Now we did everything that as a studio we could do. Like we advertise the game. We've been talking with different streamers and giving away codes. And the game has, in the last few months, it has increased in audience. So we were happy with the results so far. But of course, we would love for the game to have many more users. And that's where we're doing these sort of interviews, for example, to spread out the word, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think the price is a problem. The game is definitely worth the price, but I think the problem is, as you say, in your mind this is a niche game, but if you try to market it as a game that maybe will appeal to people who like similar games, and they can learn the mechanics and adapt to it, because I don't think it's like it has strategy, but it will appeal to people who just want to shoot stuff or something. Like I'm a Call of Duty fan myself, but I really like this game and what it did. So if you try to market it maybe differently, then I think you will get more players.
Yeah, we're still thinking and reviewing our marketing strategy. The problem is that the more that you open up that, like for example, we had the game free, okay, for like a weekend on Steam, and if you look at the free to play reviews that we got during that weekend, they were really bad. The problem is that the moment you open up to a larger audience, without any sort of restriction, like without any sort of clear interest from the user, as like someone that is willing to spend $10 to get into something, right? You get like, I don't know, thousands of, I don't know, Fortnite kids that probably just won't get it, and the industry is so competitive right now that if you don't grab someone like in the first 5 minutes, they can go and play something. They can go and play Call of Duty, for free, like Warzone or something. So it's a pretty. We knew that we're getting ourselves into the most competitive scene in the games industry, like first-person shooters, competitive games. It's the most competitive space in the industry. But what we try to do is to innovate and to say, listen, you can do something that is original and different. And we are very happy that the reception that we got from the community is that, oh, this is really interesting, and there are it's potentially it could open up for new ways to think about some game modes or other things in the shooter space. And also, we are happy that we deliver the product that is of high quality. So I don't know if you know this, but our company has been recently acquired by a bigger group. It's called the Inversa Group. And in big part, it happened because we were able to show what we're capable of doing with Quantum League and other stuff that we're working on right now. So it's a very successful project for us. We want it to be as big as it can, but of course you always have like commercial constraints, right? Even let's say if I had like $1 million to spend on advertising the game, right? I need to know that if I invest $1 million, the game is going to make $1 million back, right? So we're still figuring out the marketing strategy and understanding like how much investment we can do and what's the best way to do it. But so far, we want the game to speak for itself and to grow from this small niche audience that truly loves it into something that is bigger.
Yeah, because one of the big problems I noticed with the game right now is the matchmaking. Because me and my friend, we got put up against the two same people over and over again, and these two people were really good at the game and we weren't. So that created a situation where this wasn't fun for us, and we just kind of gave up because we couldn't find people our skill level because nobody were playing the game. So in my opinion, even if you get bad reviews by people who play for free, as long as more people are playing it, that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah. That the problem is I need to explain like the math behind free-to-play games. So imagine that a premium game is a single purchase, right? The reason why most premium games right now also have like other monetization schemes, or they have DLC or something like that, is that there is a recurring cost in having players logging into servers dedicated for the game, right? So this cost has been going down, and this is why more and more games are free to play and offer different monetization systems. But that you still have to support these users, right? Let alone talk about like adding content to the game, more new maps and whatever. So it could happen that the single purchase, right, only supports the game for or that player for a set amount of time. So you have to continue monetizing the user in order to continue supporting the game. Now, if you move to free to play, okay, your server cost like increase. Let's say that you have 100 times more users, right? Which is not the case. But let's say we have 100 times more users. Your server cost will also increase by 100 times. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, now the monetization will it be good enough? Like 100 times more users, will that make the same revenue as having just one user paying like the front fee? I don't know, like the entry to the game as a premium product. The truth is that we've done the math, and in the case of our monetization scheme, it just doesn't work. Okay, it could work if the game was designed for a free-to-play environment, and that would be a complete rework of the game, and probably we would break many of the things that make the game interesting.
Yeah, I think you misunderstood me, because my point wasn't to make the game free to play. My point was just maybe do it for a weekend or something, just to bring in more players.
But we did do that. We had a free weekend on Steam, and we were planning to do more.
Because I think it's a good idea keeping it. You pay for it and get it, because that also means you don't have to put in a bunch of monetization in the game.
Yeah. So now in Quantum League, you can buy Quarks for real money, but everything that is in the game, you can get it out for free just by playing. And I understand
it feels very fair. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the matchmaking problems. Yeah, that's creepy. We have we know some of these big players that are like destroying everybody, and we say, please go easy on the new ones. But even though they do go easy on casual, like every time like someone steps into rank play, and if there's no other players within your same skill level, if you wait for a long time, probably you're going to get with one of these guys, and it's going to be really tough. But the good thing is that this is the kind of game that the more you learn, the more as you face the most interesting opponents, because they are the ones that will start doing those crazy strats and will push you to the best of your capability.
Yeah, it will either break you or push you.
The other thing that I would suggest is, like, if you bring along some of your friends to the game, you can play like custom matches, and you can try these strategies within a safer group, let's say, in order to be ready to face these top tier players. But of course, we know that the game deserves and needs a bigger audience. We're doing the best that we can right now, but we hope that in time that the good vibes around doing something innovative will settle into some reasonable situation. We hope. Okay, but we are not expecting to have like 1 million players tomorrow.
Of course,
right. So yeah, that's why my question kind of like led into the whole. How do you plan on expanding the player base? Like, for example, you have multiple versions of the game. Do you plan to like have some sort of crossplay, or plan to have some way to mix the fan bases of the different versions of Quantum Link, etc. That's kind of like why I asked.
Yeah,
that's kind.
To be honest, we don't have a set plan for this right now. We are looking at the numbers, looking at the results of the launch, how much of an impact the all the work that we did with several media outlets, what worked from that, and looking at the next steps. We do have some other releases planned, and what you do is you do your marketing efforts around this of new content. So when we do something, we will let you know. But we don't have like a set plan because we are still processing the information that we got out of the release.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that brings me on to the weapons, because I noticed that the SMG and the shotgun are really useful, but the other weapons are kind of either hard to use or aren't satisfying to use, or they just don't work well. So what I noticed was that all the other players we were facing used the SMG or the shotgun and would just wreck us with the SMG. So I think the weapons need some balancing. What do you think?
I believe so too. It's the thing is that there's only a few weapons, and only a small amount of time to use them. We try to make each weapon every weapon feel powerful. So that was our design approach. Let's say we don't. It's like you choose your weapon the moment that you start the loop, and you only have 15 seconds to use it. So imagine even the reloading times are hard to balance, because like if you want to add like 0.5 seconds of reloading time to one weapon, or add a few more bullets in the chamber of the SMG or stuff like that, you break the whole experience.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, for example, things like that there are other limits that have to do with the game mechanics. So, for example, the grenade launcher, it would feel much better if even though you don't damage the opponent, maybe you push them. Like in other games, like there's an impulse that happens, and where the explosion, it looks more realistic, it feels better, right? But we can't do that because that would alter the timeline. If that we will already have recorded that impulse, so if that impulse never happened, okay, what happened with the movement of the distinct character? Okay, so there are some limitations of what we can do, but and the rifle, which is the other one. So the SMG and the shotgun, we do believe they are very, very good. The rifle, I think that it depends on like your style of. It's like everyone likes a particular kind of sniper. It's the sniper has like this whip motion that you do with your mouse, and maybe you are too much connected to the sniper of Call of Duty or some other game, and it probably won't ever feel the same, right?
Yeah.
But the grenade launcher is the most strategic. So there are some people that are killing it with the sniper in the game, and it's a one headshot, one bullet headshot kill. So it's pretty powerful if you nail those shots. And also remember that in some cases this may be because of lag, right? Like it's not the same with a small player base. Even though we're matchmaking by region, maybe you got a match against someone that is from the opposite side of the world, and maybe the sniper won't feel as accurate there because of normal situations with lag, right?
Yeah.
But the grenade launcher to me is the one that needs to be balanced properly, because it's very good for controlling like areas of the map with pre-fire, like doing something in the 1 and 2 clone without before playing the third round. So we should do something to improve the grenade launcher, I believe. But again, the problem with the grenade launcher is that part of the problem with the feel has to do with the mechanics. Like for example, the explosion doesn't even do all the damage at the same time. It has a. Did you notice that it has like a damage over time?
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's because when it wasn't like that, people would just throw grenades into the capture point to deny it, like at the 15th second.
Yeah, because that makes sense to do.
So it's like a cleanup, you know. But now that it has damage over time, you can, if you know
But
that.
that's your instinct when using a grenade launcher. You use it on groups of people, like central points. That's just instinctual.
yeah, but it's sometimes when you're like combining mechanics as we are, some of the results are counterintuitive. Like some things that you learn from other games may not apply. In Quantum League, you can do that, but you don't have the precise control of when that damage is happening. So in order for the opponent to be able to like jump into the explosion at the last second and still score, you know. If not, it would render all other weapons useless, because you just clean up the score point at the end of the loop with the grenade launcher, and unless I kill your clone with the grenade launcher before, I would never score. So
yeah,
that's it. It's what I'm trying to say is that it's a tricky business, like balancing our weapons. Too little time to use them. A small set of weapons, so we can't cater to everybody. Like imagine, like I play a lot of PUBG myself, right? And I stink, but I do play a lot. And in PUBG, at least, like you want an SMG, there's like, I don't know, 10 of them, or different varieties on each kind of weapon. So you have like one that you have more chances to have one that is suited to your style of, or the weapons that are better to your style of playing, right?
Yeah, it just feels like maybe you should have used a different weapon than the grenade launcher, because in my opinion, the grenade launcher doesn't feel good enough or useful enough to have in the game. So a weapon that was more catered towards the game mechanics that work better with them maybe would have been better.
Yeah, so the grenade launcher was in there for since the beginning of the game, and to us, it's still like one of the best strategic weapons in the game, because you can do stuff like, okay, there's a pathway there, and I will deny access because I'm putting like 2 grenades in a couple of seconds there, you know. So you know that the guy is not going to be around that area because he will blow up. But it went through some iterations of balance at the very end of the development that probably nerfed it quite a bit. So if you played it like 1 month before release, probably you would be complaining that it was
but if you realize the grenade launcher didn't work, then why keep it?
No, because we do think that it does work. We just need to tune it up a little bit more. It's in terms of, remember that Quantum League is a game where there is perfect information about what's going to happen. So if we made all the weapons super precise, like you know that clone is going to be there, it's pre-recorded action. So if the grenade launcher was more precise or made way more damage, it would be like too powerful. But having something that can like disable an area of the field of the court is still really interesting. So
yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So yeah, it won't ever feel as the best grenade launcher in like, I don't know, Call of Duty, but in the hands of a proficient Quantum League player, they can do like crazy stuff with the grenade launcher. But you have to practice a lot. So that's the problem. It's not like the weapons are. If you talk to our to like our pro players, it's not like they feel that the balance is really bad. They feel that the balance is actually very good. but our challenge is that we need to make these weapons feel good for not only for the pro players but also for the newcomers, right?
Yeah, I'm
Right.
just speaking from someone who is new to the game. So
Yeah, I totally agree.
I want to ask something more important and more related to this, but how about new weapons or some sort of like counter mechanics for these kinds of for the current weapons in the meta, so you can for example. For
Tell me.
example, be able to predict. For example, being able to predict where the enemy is going to go, or have some sort of disruption mechanic. I don't know. Like, do you guys plan on introducing new mechanics in the future and to fresh up the gameplay?
Yeah, we have a crazy list of ideas. The problem with the mechanics in Quantum League is that you have to like think about the fourth dimension, like when like everything that you add, it opens like a can of worms that is really difficult to control. But we do have a crazy list of ideas, and it's huge. But the thing is that we just released with the like a couple of weeks before the release, we opened up these new skills for the players, for the characters. Some of the skills in these characters are playing with those kind of mechanics that you mentioned. Like there is one of them who can see the distinct opponents as they fire. So and imagine that in 2 versus 2, for example, one of your like your sidekick could be the one using that ability and letting you know, like on the other side of the court, like, hey, this one is shooting at your direction or something like that. So we still need to see these things are very new. The pro community are still on the fence with some of them, so we still need to see how these skills work in order to think about like new stuff to make in the future. Again, this game is the whole project has been developed with the mindset of an experimental game, right? We try stuff, we put it out there, people give us feedback, and then we iterate, right? Because it's one strategy to make something new, right? Instead of just planning for ages and thinking ahead for a long time, you just put something out there, get some feedback, and try to improve on it. That's how we made Quantum League, and that's how we plan
Speaking
to make the game.
speaking of which, have you gotten any feedback from your player base or other reviewers that you plan to take into consideration for the near future, like in short term?
No, nothing that I can confirm right now. It's been like less 10 days since we released the game. So we're still like looking at data. Imagine that all these games generate tons of information about like what kind of weapons players use and what kind of accuracy they have, and how are the results of the matchmaking, and how good it is or how bad. There's many things that we are still analyzing, and so I can't confirm right now like any specific plans. What I can confirm is that we will continue supporting the game for a long time, and there will be more content. Okay, but I don't have any specifics right now.
All right.
Well, I don't have any more questions for now. How about you, Alex?
I think I got most of it covered. Yeah.
All right, then I suppose that we can finish this part of the of the of the interview. I have to say that this was a very special episode for us as Vago Games, and I am glad to have had you guys here. It's good to know some inside information about how you guys see the development of the game as it is, and hopefully you'll be able to continue expanding the player base in the near future. And we wish you the best of luck on your endeavors.
Oh, thanks a lot for that, and it was my pleasure being part of this interview.
Right.
So thanks a lot for helping us spread the word. That's what a unique game like Quantum needs. So thanks.
Okay.
No problem.
But yeah, for now, we are going to finish this very special episode of the Battlecast. I am Yul, and once again, I am accompanied by my co-host Alex, and we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.